Welcome to the launch of the first TALIS survey of staff in early childhood education and care. It's a very special day because it is the very first time we have a first-hand comparative picture of staff and leaders in the field. Who they are, the practices they use with children, their beliefs about children's development, and also their views on the profession and on the sector of early childhood education more generally. The first thing that strikes you when you look through these results is how much variability there is in this sector. You know, in primary schooling, we have a pretty clear idea what children learn because there's a coherent curriculum. We know who the teachers are because they are trained in well-established ways, they are paid similar salaries, and they work in similar school organizations. And we take it for granted that schooling is a public good available to all children, organized and financed by the state. Well, when you look through this report, you'll see that you can't take any of that for granted when it comes to early childhood education and care. But there are some patterns clearly visible. Around 70% of staff say they regularly use practices to facilitate children's social emotional development. Think of encouraging children to help each other, or they use practices facilitating children's language development. Think of singing songs or rhymes. Specific practices emphasizing literacy and numeracy, such as playing with letters or playing number games, are actually used much less frequently. Social skills. The ability to cooperate with other children is also at the very top of the list of capabilities that staff think are important for young children. Most staff say they're exchanging information with parents regarding their daily activities and also about the children's development. But what seems less common is to encourage parents to play and carry out learning activities with their own children at home. One of the findings that troubled me most is that staff in all countries feel more valued by the children they serve and their parents than by society in general. Satisfaction with salaries is low, and that shouldn't surprise you if you compare those salaries with what teachers take home. And still, staff generally report high levels of job satisfaction. The findings also suggest that a lack of resources and having too many children in the playroom are major sources of work-related stress among staff. And for center leaders, a big source of work-related stress is having too much administrative stuff to deal with. One of the main motivations for strengthening early childhood education and care has been its key role to level the playing field for children from different social backgrounds. But the findings provide actually little indication that centers with larger shares of disadvantaged children benefit from better structural conditions and services, such as better staff qualifications or a more favorable number of staff per child. And attracting the most talented staff to the most challenging centers will be key to providing equitable opportunities to all. Particularly when you look at the large share of children coming from different language backgrounds in countries like Germany, like Iceland, like Norway. Together, the findings show there's a lot to do to ensure that every child benefits from excellent teaching and learning. We need to think much harder about how to raise the status of the profession through adequate salaries, less instability and stress, and better access to relevant and flexible professional development. We also need better insights of what the right mix of social, emotional, and cognitive development is. And we need to see that those insights translate into appropriate pre-service and in-service education for staff that can support staff in their use of the most suitable practices, the implementation of well-designed curriculum frameworks, and the pursuit of activities that ensure effective interactions of staff with children. And not least, a lot more needs to be done to ensure access to high-quality early childhood education and care for children from all backgrounds. And that includes to prepare staff to adapt their practices to the needs of different children and to allocate resources for additional support wherever that is needed. Let's keep in mind that the early childhood education and care of today is our society tomorrow. Sure, the challenges are tough, but when you look through this report, you will also see that universal, high-quality early childhood education and care is an attainable goal. And that it's within our means to deliver a future for millions of children who currently do not have a future. And that the task is not to make the impossible possible, but simply to make the possible attainable.